Hey guys, and welcome back to the Model Car Cup Series. I want to give you an update on the progress of our 1/32 scale Goodwrench Lumina and take a look at where we're going to go from here. So, hey, let's do it. Big thanks to our buddy Tony Roberts for this week's trivia question. In 1968, what NASCAR Cup driver drove this car at the Mossport Park Speedway in Canada? Okay guys, while I've got the seat right here, I want to go ahead and show you where I am on that. First of all, if you remember, the original seat was like this. You had all the, I'm calling it checkerboard, but the pattern cushions in there down the center. And it was pretty rough, but I've taken one of those and I've filled all of that in, and as you can see in this picture of my the Superflow Lumina, I used embossing powder to make that look like it was padded, and I'm going to be doing the same thing, two-tone, probably a dark gray down the center, and then the aluminum on the back and sides. You can see right here where I've gone ahead and drilled the hole for the seat belt, and I've got to do that in a couple other places too. I was trying to find my pointer here. There it is. Oh, sorry. So we do have this one right here, and then I'll be putting one down here on both sides for the side, the lap belts to go across. And I'll probably just put a little bitty notch right there so something can tuck underneath. We're using 1/32 scale aircraft seat belts, and as you can see, they're photo etch, and we have the well, I don't know if you can see, yeah, I guess you can, the adjusters and the cinch handles there, and then you've got the side belts and things like that. And I'm getting off the white here so it's harder to see, that we'll be adding to it. But I went ahead and cut the hole here, and this is great because it's perfect. It'll go through, and that will loop back to the roll bar, and that's where it'll be attached. And of course, and by the way, this will be painted. This photo etch will be primed and painted the appropriate color based on my research. I've seen them where they were kind of a flat red, but I've also seen them where they were the dark gray and even black, depending on the team and all. So I'm still looking into that, but we'll see. But then you just fold them down to where, like any other photo etch, you can fold them down into the shape you want and cut them to the length you want. So that's what we're going to be doing there. So 32nd scale aircraft seatbelt. These are by Edward. It says made in the Czech Republic. So that's what I was just kind of working on and kind of fitting up to right now. And that's looking pretty good. And let's take a look at that body. It's gone through several sandings, and it's looking really, as you can see, it is very smooth all over. Right here in the grill, you notice here, I put a piece of bare metal foil over that before I primed, so we didn't lose any detail. I've got something in mind for this down the road. And here it is trimmed out. And then we did our priming. There's 3 primer coats, and I've sanded between each one so you can see how smooth everything is. And here's something that I decided to do. This entire car, other than the all-clad, is going to be painted with rattle cans. And I'll show you what brand and all that stuff when we get to that. Probably in the next video, I'll surprise you with that. But if you remember our overflow tube and all that stuff here, everything just sanded out, massaged out really great. I think the body's going to be nice and slick, which RCR cars were known for. You see in these pictures where we had to clean up and do a little stuff to the under the hood and extra putty, and then here's our finish, nice and smooth. And of course this will be that interior red orange, and something I'm tickled to death about. Look at that. Turned out absolutely awesome. In fact, I'll probably this evening have the Goodwrench, that reddish orangish red. I'm trying to remember what it's called, but it's not Chevy engine orange, but it's enough orange in it that you can see the orange. But did that not turn out just absolutely great? Miguel, once again, home run, dude. Awesome stuff. And again, you see the, well, I hope you can see them, the little hinge tabs there that were put on. So that's looking real good. On the wheels, I showed you these, another great thing for Miguel. And as you see in this picture, the hubs I had that were 3D printed just came apart big time when I was trying to drill out the holes for the lug nuts. So I've had to scratch build hubs, and I've got to drill these out. I've got to set them up, and as you see here, this has got to be rounded a little bit on the tip, and this is where the lug nuts will be around here. And how I'll do that is I'm going to take my wheel here, and I've already made this to the right size, as you can see. And then I will just take, and I've already got my micro drill bit in the right size, and I'll just go down in there, and that will get all of our, well, hopefully, there we go. All the lug nuts, or the lug bolts, the studs, will go right up in there. And going on to the tires, let me get these things out of the way, or the wheels and tires. This is one of our, well, again, wheels that is in the gloss black, and you see, well, I don't know if you can see the red ring around the edge or not. If you can't, I'm going to do something here in a second that hopefully you will be able to. The tires, as you see here, I shot them in gloss coat, just Tester's gloss coat. Stuck them in the dehydrator for a little while. Don't know if you can see these. If you remember, I had mentioned that I had ordered these 32nd scale Goodyear stencil type decals, and I don't know if you can see that or not. There you go. That's a little better anyway. From France, which came in about 9 days. Unbelievable. The instructions say that these decals are so thin that you can put them over a flat finish, which I never want to test that because of silvering, but they say it's so thin that they conform to even to the porous paint, which I don't know how that works. But anyway, I didn't take a chance, so I glossed the tires, and then I put them on. They are indeed thin, so thin, as you can see in this picture, that you could tell it said Goodyear Eagle, but you could not tell that it's wasn't very bright, let's put it that way. So it took 3 layers of decals to get them where I wanted them. I could have made them brighter, but I wanted that little bit of a used look to it, so I did that. And you know what, let me just take the camera down here, and you can see the red ring depending on where I am a little bit. I'm proud of that because that took some time. Let's see if I can get over here where you can see the red ring around them. There you go. The LR4, those decals actually came on the Slicks 1/32nd scale decal sheet. And like I said, those French decals, I'm not sure I could even pronounce the name, but really good decals. It just took 3 layers to get there. The great thing is they're so thin that the carrier film, after I dull coated them, as you can see, and that's just Tester's dull coat, you can't see a thing. And also, I don't know if you can see them, I've got the 32nd scale decal sheet came with the Aero wheel decals, And I'm trying to find, there it is, but I don't know if you can see it. Can you see the valve stem? So we have, get my fat finger out of the way, or my skinny finger. See the valve stem right down there, and well, that one you can almost see down on the bottom of the wheel there. Right, oh, you gotta be kidding. Yeah, there we go, right there. I'm trying not to knock it out of the way again. So, and then there's the valve stem there. So we've got our valve stems and we've got our decals, and I think the tires really turned out good. As you can see here, huge difference. This is the 24th scale wheels and tires from my Superflow Lumina, and huge difference, as you saw in the opening tile there. Just a pretty big difference to the, let me get them on the same line there. Big difference on the tires, but I'm very pleased with the way they turned out. I think these really are going to look good sitting beside the car with the wheels off. And remember, we've got our photo etch. Let me put this thing back up here. We've got our photo etch brakes. Where did I put them? Well, I know they're right here somewhere. You'd think I was better prepared. Okay, here's our photo etch. And by the way, Miguel has a gorgeous set of brake calipers that I'm going to be using. Check that out. Cool, huh? And like I said, once the wheels are on there, then this, the hub, goes right down through there. And bam, right in the center. And then you'll have your studs and all that stuff that sit there. And of course, again, the wheel goes right there. So these are going to look really, really good on the car. Cool stuff. These also came from France. I found them on eBay. I had to have two sets because they only came two per, but they were fairly affordable. I believe they were under slot car parts. But good photo etch, aluminum disc brakes. I mean, I think those are just cool. Next, the chassis. As you see here, everything is now in primer. Everything's in primer. We're going to be getting our color on the inside of the body as well as the chassis and roll bars. You see in this picture, by the way, on the chassis, where we went ahead and did our final cutting and fitting of the roll bars from the monogram kit over to the AMT upper portion of the chassis. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Off the top of my head, I can't think of it. It'll probably pop in my head in just a second. But I want to show you where I am with the engine right now. I don't have any of the wiring or plumbing on it yet, but I'm eager for you to see where we are, so stick around. If you answered the King, Richard Petty, to the trivia question, you're right. Guys, this is just a mock-up of the engine. I went ahead and used technically 7 different all-clads. You see 8 bottles here, but there's actually 7 colors that I used. I had a little bit left that I needed, that pale burnt metal. So as you see here, there's other ones as well. The exhaust pipes, for example. And let me get these over here so you can see them a little better. You can see the heat stains, and I'm not really finished with that. I've got some other darkening in a couple of spots to do, and the headers are going to be done pretty much the same way as far as the heat staining goes. The headers, well, let's take a look at the engine block first. And I just keep hitting that thing, don't I? The engine block, I did the old era oil pans were kind of a brass color if they were using the Hamburgers brand, as I call it, the Hamburgers. And so I did that in brass to give a little contrast. And you see again the holes there where the lines will be, the plumbing lines will be. And there's no wash on this thing yet whatsoever. You've got one here, and then the lines here and here. There's your starter. None of this has been painted. The belts have not been painted. I went ahead and did the pulleys in aluminum. I wanted to try that first before I spin some and do that. But I think this looks really good in the polished aluminum. Same thing with the valve covers. And I do have some RCR decals in 1/32 scale that can go on those. As you remember in this picture. There's our 32nd scale carb that came from Shapeways way back. Very detailed for the size. And of course all of our lines, and then our breather stem and all that stuff's got to be put on there. And as you can see, the ports for the headers are drilled out, and then the spark plug wires, and of course I've got to add the distributor and the that kind of stuff too. I think that flywheel turned out really good back there too. And what I'm going to be using for the headers is, once again, I kind of did a mock-up, used the 62 thousandths, and it really, I thought this was going to look better, but it's really a little too big. It's not in scale, so I kind of broke that down. But this is just some solder that I easily bent that we'll just be putting right up in there. And then we'll be bending that down into the shape based on the actual stock car headers. And I've got pictures that I'm going to be using more so than those. And then we'll slide them out, heat stain them. And again, the spark plug wires will probably run down, just like on the real thing, down across and then come up from the bottom. I think this is going to look really, really good. And I'll give you an update on this in the next video. But let's talk about that for a minute. I am finding that I have a ton of things that I keep having to run across that I'm going to have to scratch build and scratch build and scratch build. A lot of stuff. So what I'm thinking is I am not going to rush this. I really wanted this car ready for Atlanta. And I'm not saying that still couldn't happen. But just in case, I am not going to rush this and mess something up, or worse, have to take it back apart because I forgot something. And that's where I'm afraid I'm going to go if I keep going at the rate I'm going. I spent a lot of hours on this stuff. Those tires and wheels, I kind of took the day off yesterday, and I spent about 7 hours doing those things. So it was a lot of time. So I don't want to rush it, and I'm finding myself rushing on a few things. So if it's not ready for Atlanta, then it's just not going to be ready for Atlanta. But I'm not going to rush it. So if it doesn't get done, it doesn't get done. It can always go next year if that's the case. But I am going to do everything I can to try to get it done. But again, I'm not going to I'm not going to mess it up. So that's where we are, guys. I can't think of anything else I'm missing. Like I said, the inside of the body and the roll bars and some of the chassis will be in the interior red-orange. Some of it will probably be done tonight, but I'm finding a whole lot more that I've got to scratch build and do that it's just not worth leaving stuff off. But guys, that's where we are. I appreciate you more than you know. Just wanted to give you a quick update. If you're not a subscriber, be sure you hit that subscription button and hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave us a comment. I always enjoy reading your comments. Visit the Teespring store. I've got some new cool stuff. Our Model Car Cup Series decals and coffee mugs have been selling like crazy, and some t-shirts too. So jump in, and I will see you in the next video. God bless you guys. I'll see you next time.